So some people in my class asked for a video about fiction writing contest. If you're submitting your fiction, what about going after that big sweet contest prize money? Baby needs a new pair of shoes. Why don't you just enter a whole bunch of contests and just get the moolah? Let me answer that question with two other questions. And knowing me, that'll lead us to more questions. Question number one: is the contest free to enter? Is it free? You do not want to spend money on a contest fee unless you can afford to lose the money for the conference fee. If your baby actually needs a new pair of shoes, do not spend your baby's shoe money on a contest fee because the odds on any particular contest are enormously against you. You will not see that money again. Am I saying never apply to a contest that has a fee? No. I'm saying if you do, there are rules. First, is the contest free? And if so, is the contest a step up for you? Is it a good credit? Almost every magazine has a fiction contest, which pays for itself in admissions fees, first thing, and which is designed to attract stories that are somewhat better or shinier than the magazine would otherwise get. It's very important when you're thinking about publishing to use your fiction writer superpower, which is imagining other people's viewpoints and try to see it from the publisher's viewpoint. Why is there this contest here? To give you money? It's only incidentally. The reason they're having the contest is to attract people, to attract writing they wouldn't ordinarily get, and to, at the very least, pay for the contest itself through the submission fees, if not make a small profit. Or by small profit, we mean a small supplement to your leaky nonprofit magazine budget. So don't don't submit to the prize at a magazine you wouldn't want to publish in anyway. The part of it, like they give you money and then they publish in your issue, your story in one of their issues. If that is not a goal, if that's not a magazine where you want to be, don't don't submit to the contest there because it's probably not very useful for you. Winning a contest at a fourth rate magazine is like getting into a fourth rate magazine. That's how much it will help you in the future. Okay, and if it's free, go ahead. What if it's not free? I have a few questions, and I'm going to talk. This is going to lead to some digressions. Surprise that I digress. But I'm going to need these digressions to set up my answer, my real answer. I want to talk about. I'm going to talk to you about self-esteem and math, or really arithmetic and gambling. I'm going to teach you some lessons in gambling. First of all, if you think of contest submissions as gambling, and you should never gamble any money you cannot absolutely afford to lose. If you're going to miss that money, if you're going to notice it, if you're going to have to not go to the movies this week, if you're going to have to eat another peanut butter sandwich for dinner, don't spend that money. Don't. Don't think about the prize. You should think that you're not getting the prize. You should think about the more likely outcome, which is that you do not win the prize. If you have money in your budget to submit to to pay a few contest fees every year or five contest fees every year, then okay. But then I want you to think to evaluate your odds very clearly. First, before you submit to any contest that charges a fee, do your research. Look at who the last three winners of that contest were and how much their resume looks like yours. If, sorry, I have to hold him or he moves the camera around on me. If the last three winners all have three books of fiction published under their own names recently, and you have zero books, then your odds are very low. You should expect that the contest is going to be won by the kind of people, generally speaking, with the kind of track record who have won it the last 3 times. This has nothing to do with your faith in your talent. This is not about talent, but about where people are in their career. Okay, on that topic, ask yourself before you enter a contest that charges a submission fee, a contest fee. Ask yourself, would I be in the top 3, 4, 5, 10 contestants, depending? Looking at who's won, are you comparable to that? And this is not about your belief in yourself. I want to make a hard distinction between your long-term belief in yourself and your talent, and a hard, cold, clear-eyed evaluation of where you are in your career right now, which is the more important thing. If you're thinking, look, I haven't published books. Everybody who wins this prize has published 3 books, and I haven't ever published a story. But this will be my break because I am special, and this contest will show me, will reveal my specialness. It will be my big break. Make no financial decisions whatsoever in that frame of mind. You are not thinking clearly enough to gamble, really, even a few dollars. It is not about your specialness. Contests don't exist to validate your long-term talent or view of yourself. As a writer, you should cling to that belief. You should not make financial decisions based on it. With money you can't afford to lose, or money that you could spend elsewhere or better. So, first of all, if you are genuinely, if your writing CV looks enough like the last 3 winners, that you're pretty sure that in the most jaundiced view, the most pessimistic view, and pessimism is a wonderful gift for gamblers, the most pessimistic view, you would be in the top 5. Then this is something to think about. Think about. Doesn't mean you'll win. Actually, if you were in the top 5, there's still an 80%. If you're right and you're in the top 5, there's still an 80% chance you'll lose. 80%. And this gets us to probability and odds and gambling. I know some of you are saying, I'm a writer, I don't do math. This isn't math, this is arithmetic. Let me explain a distinction I'm going to make here between odds, which we sometimes use colloquially to also mean probability, and probability. Odds are the amount that a wager pays you back in exchange for your wager. So, and probability is the odds of probability is the chance of you actually winning. So, if I were going to get a daily number ticket from the Ohio State Lottery, you pick 3 numbers, the odds are 500 to 1. My $1 would get me $500 back. In the unlikely but not impossible event, I would win. What is the probability of me winning in a random drawing, a random 3-digit number? It is exactly 1 in 1,000. The probability is 1 in 1,000. The odds, i.e. what I get paid, is 500 to 1. Not the actual chances of me winning are 1,000 to 1, or 999 to 1. Does that seem like a disparity that puts the bettor at a real disadvantage? Yes. Does it seem like a racket? Yes. This is something that was invented by criminals, invented by professional criminals, though now the Ohio state government and other state governments have taken over the racket. You're going to lose money. The distinction, the odds are never as favorable as the probability. Look at the comparison of the prize the contest pays with the fee it charges to apply to the contest. You'll often find that the odds, i.e. what you get paid, are something like 50 to 1 or worse. 50 to 1 as in your $20, it's $1,000 prize, you submit $20, if you win, you get $50 for every dollar you wagered. This is actually a worse gap than buying a daily number from the Ohio State Lottery, right? Ohio State Lottery, they are, it's a 1 in 1,000 chance, and they pay you 500 to one. This is 50 to 1, but your odds are significantly less than 100 to 1. They don't have just 100 contestants. And actually, if you get an email from someone saying, hey, we've extended our contest deadline, you can get an extra week, please submit, whatever, that is not a contest that isn't finding a winner, that isn't finding a story they want to give the prize to. That's a story that hasn't gotten enough submissions yet to cover their budget or to turn a profit. Hard cold facts. So 50 to 1 is not a good bet. Some places are paying something like, some contests pay something like 25 or 20 to 1. That's a terrible, terrible, but when your odds are 51, your actual chance of winning is like 1 in 300. That is a bad bet. Pardon me for putting this all in a semi-criminal wagering environment, but I think that's the analogy. That's actually what's happening. Now, if you are someone who will legitimately be a very strong top 5 contender for a 50 to 1 proposition, that's pretty good, right? That is something where you might reasonably decide to take that chance. Or rather, you might reasonably decide to take that chance with a few different contests. And if you have like $100 to spend or $150 to spend, you might enter 5 or 6 contests where you pay $25 or you pay $20 for a chance at 1,000. You'll probably lose your 100. You'll still probably lose your $150. Being bet 1 out of 5 is still a crappy probability. You're going to lose much more often than you win. There are some people clearly who do this. They tend to be, how do I know this? Researching who won contests that seemed interesting to me. There are some people who tend to be like high-powered people recently out of fancy MFA programs who clearly like decided to like put all their short stories into highly competitive contests, and it paid off for them because they won a contest or two. That is something to do if you're publishing in the kind of place in strong places, and this is the kind of place you'll be publishing anyway. That makes sense. It's not actually Contests are actually really not super good for beginners. And I will say one last thing. Again, think of it from the contest runner's point of view. If a magazine is running a contest in order to attract a writer whom they would otherwise not have available to them in their magazine, and they're always rejecting you with a form letter, why would they need to pay you $1,000 for a story you're going to send them anyway next submission season? Doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense now, does it? It is a reason for them to maybe get somebody who's like publishing very well at slightly better places and who wouldn't otherwise send them something. That's what the purpose of the contest is. The contest is not for you. It's only likely to profit you if having a story from you is likely to be a catch for that market. Is that cynical? No. That's thinking through multiple viewpoints.